Hi, this is Lisa Louise Cook, and in this Genealogy Gems video, you're going to be hearing from my special guest presenter, Gina Philibert Ortega. It's always fun to hear about the websites that other genealogists are using, and Gina is going to share 25 of her favorite. So let's jump right into it with 25 websites for genealogy.
All right. Let's talk libraries. Now, libraries are something that we should be using, both libraries and archives, and we'll talk about archives as we finish up. But libraries are something we need to use as we research. So number 23 is Worldcat. If you're not familiar with Worldcat, I would highly suggest that one of the things you do is start playing with it. If you haven't used Worldcat in probably 6 months to a year or more, you'll notice it looks a lot different than it used to. So keep that in mind as well. Now, Worldcat is a library catalog of the world's libraries. So it doesn't matter if you're just doing, U.S. research or if you're doing research for Spain or whatever. It's the world's libraries. However, not every library participates, okay? Now, the other thing is they have more than just books listed. They have periodicals, they have theses, they have images, they have archival collections. So there's a lot there. And in some cases, they have digital collections. So we're going to do a keyword search. Now, unless your ancestor was famous or an author, doing a search on their name is probably not going to help you. Okay, now if they were famous or an author, then you're going to find something. Otherwise, we want to do a keyword search for a place that they lived, maybe the city, maybe the county or the state, maybe a religion, maybe a membership organization, something like that. So I did Los Angeles County, California. Here are my results in the middle. Notice that first result over at the right, it says access free, open access. So that means that is a digital copy that I can access. Now, if it's not a digital copy, it won't have those words, but when I click on it, it will tell me what libraries near me have that item. Worldcat gives you the option to enter a zip code, and you can, a US zip code, or you can also, if you're not in a place that has a zip code, like if you're in Canada or another country, you can add in the city that you're in. And it will tell you the nearest libraries to you that have that item, okay? Now, also notice over on the left, we have the filters to narrow our search because we got 86,000 results. That's a lot. I can narrow it by open access, only stuff that I can access free. I can do books. I can do microform, theses. If that format was a little bit more open, you would see there's images, there's archival material. So I could narrow it down that way as well. So you can play around with this, and even if you're looking at something very general, you can narrow it down to what you need. Now, one of the things you can do on Worldcat is you can have a free account. Absolutely free, email, password, just like any other website. The benefit of this is that you can have lists of books. Books you find on, maybe you're doing research, LA County research. You can have a virtual bookshelf and put all the books you find, or a surname, for example. The other thing you can do is you can favorite libraries. And so when you favorite a library, like Family Search is actually part of Worldcat. They have their library catalog on Worldcat. I have favorited Family Search. So anything that time I look up something and it is found in Family Search, I'll see a little heart. So you can do that. You can favorite your nearby library. You can favorite genealogy libraries. So there's a few reasons that having a free account could be useful, especially if you want to create these virtual bookshelves and then go research and, refer back to it. So consider that. You don't have to. It just gives you some more features. All right. Let's, for a second, before we move on to archive websites, let's talk about the difference between libraries and archives. A library typically is a place where you check out books, right? They have books, they have periodicals, they have microforms, microfilms, microfiche. They might have various local history collections. Now, not every library is a circulating library. For example, Family Search Library in Salt Lake City is not a circulating library. You go there and do research, you don't check out books. Archives have items that were created at the time of an event by people involved in the event. These are paper records for the most part. So it could be images, it could be correspondence, diaries, journals, membership records, organizational records, that kind of thing. That's not to say libraries don't sometimes have those items. Sometimes they do. Sometimes they have a local history collection and they do have those items. But archives definitely have those items. Now, just like there's different types of libraries, there's different types of archives. So I'm going to show you one type of archive, but keep in mind as you research that there are all kinds of archives. There's archives for places, there's archives for occupations, for religions, for all kinds of things. So, number 24. ArchiveGrid. Now remember Worldcat, right? That was the one we just talked about. ArchiveGrid is very similar to Worldcat. Like Worldcat, it's worldwide, but not every archive participates. So you can, just like on Worldcat, do a keyword search, and that is up at the top next to that blue search button. And like it says, search for people, places, events, whatever. But keep in mind that unless your ancestor was famous or donated a collection, you probably won't find them by putting in their name. I'm not saying don't do it, but what I am saying is don't get frustrated and think there's nothing. Instead, do a search for a place, for example. I would start with that first. Now, ArchiveGrid has 7 million records, and that's in 1,400 institutions worldwide, including Family Search. Now, Family Search is not really an archive, but they do have some archival materials, including their maps and some materials that were digitized at family history centers, like midwife diaries. So I would go up at the top and do your keyword search. Now, you can search on these various archives. However, I would warn you that sometimes stuff ends up in archives that you would not expect. You may have an item from LA County, but it's in an archive in Massachusetts. So looking at just LA County archives isn't going to do you any good. That's why searching by keyword, even the place, is important. Don't narrow it by coming down where this map is and just searching there by the various institutions. This actually, I just did LA, California. I didn't do county, so that could be county or city. There's 76,000 items. Okay, notice at the top we have Cal State University LA, and it's for 1947 to 1978, and so there's some records there. And it's probably just about the university. Then we have something for the LA Biltmore, and that's for the Biltmore Hotel, so it sounds like it might have some images. And then we've got another Biltmore there. Now, notice the two Biltmore hotels are at Cal State University Dominguez Hills. That's right under the title. The one for Cal State University Los Angeles is at Stanford. So that's not even at Cal State University. That's another example of things aren't always where you think they should be. Now, there's two ways to see your results. There's the list view, which we're looking at now. It's a list. But notice at the top left under LA, there's the summary view. And that puts these different collections in different categories, like where they're located, or who's involved, or, topics. That can help you narrow that search. You could also go back and say, okay, let me be more specific. Let me put LA County or Cal State University or something like that. So that I get a little more specific. Once you click on one of these results, what happens is that you can click on view the catalog record, see a little bit more about it, and then learn how you can access it. These are not going to be items that are digitized, probably for the most part. You're talking about you would have to go to that place or send someone or hire someone to go to that place. So it's a good thing to do if you're taking a research trip or you know somebody. What I like to tell people is have a bucket list of research items, all the things you wish you could research, and that way at least you know what exists, and when you have the opportunity, you have that list and you can make arrangements. So here's an example from that list that I chose. And so it's the Miriam Matthews collection of Los Angeles newspapers on African Americans, 1948 to 1985. It's at University of California, Los Angeles. Okay, so we call that UCLA. And it tells me at the bottom, the details are, it consists of newspapers collected by Miriam Matthews, mostly published for the African American community in LA concerning African American topics. The titles are from 1958 to 59, 55 to 85, and then 58. And it also includes clippings. It tells me I can look at a description in Worldcat. So I could click on contact information, go to UCLA's website, and then ask them, how can I get access to this? Because archival collections sometimes are stored off-site, it takes days to bring them in, or an archivist can say to you, you know what, it's only one folder. There's not much there, or it's 10 feet of stuff. So you can get more information about it. Now, remember I said don't put your ancestor's name? And this collection title has Miriam Matthews, the woman who donated it. Okay, she donated it. That's why her name is there. So your ancestor would only be there if they donated it or if it was about them. Okay? All right, we're on number 25. Can you believe it? So number 25 is an archive that I think if you're doing U.S. research, you should be aware of, though sometimes it's a little difficult to navigate, and that is the National Archives. But I want you to be aware of a few aspects of National Archives. So here is the website. Not the catalog, just the website. I want you to be aware of that first category on the far left, Research Our Records. That's a good one to be aware of because they have different pages for military records, for genealogy, for different subjects that can help you understand more about research. So when I clicked on Research Our Records, I chose military research, and it breaks it down to different military services, Army, Navy, Marine Corps, Air Force, and Coast Guard. I can click on that and learn more about research. So National Archives, U.S. National Archives is going to have records that have to do with the federal government, and that includes the military. So it's a good place to learn more about researching military ancestors, whether that's Revolutionary War or that's Vietnam. Now, another resource they provide that you should be aware of is History Hub. Now, you could just Google History Hub. History Hub is where archivists and other researchers answer questions. It's also a place to look up questions and answers. So for example, let's say you do have military questions. You can see there at the bottom, there is a military records section. They have a section all about the 1950 U.S. Census, that if you read everything, you would become an expert in the 1950 census. Now, if you want to ask a question, you have to create a free login, email, password. If you just want to lurk and see what's been said, you can do that without creating an account. So keep that in mind, but it's a great resource and it's free. Now, I also want to make you aware of the National Archives catalog. And the reason is because some of the items are going to be digitized. Not everything, but some of them. Now, if you haven't done a lot of National Archives research, you're probably thinking, okay, National Archives, they're in DC. They are, but they also have branches throughout the United States. So, for example, I live in California. We have two branches. One is in Riverside County, one is in San Francisco County. Now, some places don't have any National Archive branches, so that can happen, or some places have one. Now, different National Archive branches are going to have records for their location. Now, in California, the Southern California National Archives in Riverside County has records for Clark County, Nevada, Southern California, and Arizona. So that's where you can locate those. Now, this is going to be a keyword search. You could put an ancestor's name, and sometimes you may get a result by ancestor's name, but you may not. So keep that in mind. Also know that this background changes every time you look at it. So right now it's showing this cute little picture of Dinosaur National Monument, but it always, that's just something that, it flips through. So I did a search on homestead records because I'm interested in homestead records, and you can see there's 58,000 results. That's way too many. So I can go over to the left and I can narrow this down. I can narrow it to records, maps, artifacts. I could redo this search and maybe put a state. I could do all kinds of stuff. So you can see that each of these card catalog entries has the title, which they call series, tells you what it is, gives you some numbers, who the creator is, and what record group it is. If you click on it, it will show you a larger card catalog definition and tell you where it can be located. So that's what you can do in order to search National Archives. Now, like I said, some of this is going to be digitized, but not a lot. So you're not going to, for example, find your ancestors' military records digitized in this catalog. So keep that in mind. There's most things that you're going to find, you're going to have to order through various services or through the National Archives. All right. Now that was 25 websites for genealogy. I hope that gets you thinking about what are you currently using, what are you not, and how you need to research differently. Thanks so much for joining me, and I'll see you again soon.